Hey, welcome to Sekou Style. Today, I'm gonna tell you about 4 or 5 lessons that I've learned working in Liberia on a World Bank project in my native Liberia. All right, these are leadership lessons, so I'm still learning to become a better leader, a better person. But I have few leadership lessons that I've learned in this, working in this remote villages and remote part of Liberia, and also in the remote part of the world. Liberia sometimes could come out across as being remote from the world, but nonetheless it's my native country and I love the place to death. So let's dive into it. Lessons that I've learned. First, before we dive into it, rewind, like the video, comment, share it. All right, since you have done that, thank you. Now, some of the lessons I've learned. Lesson number 1 is to be principle-minded. Now, I was working in this World Bank sponsored project, right? It was very challenging, but yet fun project. And one of the things that I always used to come across is that people wanted someone who is straightforward in the way that when they say something, they will do it. And when they're doing it so that it's fair to everybody. Now, if you're a principle-minded person, or at least they wanted someone who is principle-minded, to say the least, someone who has their mind straight, someone who could do things not because of their ego or some kind of, I'm the big shot, but someone who's genuinely doing things because they want to do it. They respect you, your colleagues, and it starts from the office. People respect you because they see you doing things out of the principle, not because you want to appease to someone or you want to do something, because one, you love your country and you're doing things from the heart. Liberians love that. And your colleagues will respect you, although sometimes you might come out as a little difficult, someone who is hard-headed, but at the end of the day, they appreciate you in a very funny but yet brilliant way. It's like, but you have to be strong to understand that when you're principle-minded in Africa generally, but in Liberia particularly in this case, you have to keep to your principles. Like, if you're gonna be transparent throughout. You're gonna be fair across the board, be fair to everybody. You wanna be honest, So people gonna push you back, but be principle-minded. They will appreciate you, right? That's lesson number 1. Number 2, lead by example, right? For instance, when I used to work in my office, I used to be the manager. So what I'll do is I will show up on time most of the time. And if I'm not showing up, I'm sending them email. I'm doing all the things that I want for other people to do. So leading by example, make sure that people will follow you. It sounds like a cliche, but it's like when you are there, especially in Africa, what I've noticed, actually leadership is really fun there because people really do follow you. They listen to you. And that's why I'm like, sometimes I'm baffled why African leaders are acting funny. The little leadership experience that I got in Africa, people really do appreciate good leaders. They follow you. Yes, you're gonna have challenges, but they do follow if you lead by example. Let's say 10, like in my sector, I used to have about 6 to 10 people under me directly working with me, like I'm signing their checks and stuff like that. But when you make decision or when you leading by example, you showing up to work, you putting the effort in, everybody falls in line. It's like it happens automatic. You set the tone, right? As soon as you do that, people just follow through. And when I was working, I started noticing that. So when I want productivity to go up, I'm on top of everything, everybody, and the guys will respond. I mean, married men, married women, people are coming, they're giving their all because they see the boss coming on time, they see the boss putting in, they see the boss thinking about, okay, the deadline, how we're gonna do this. People really do follow. So my experience in Liberia was dope in that way that, I really saw people, following through and making things happen. That's number 2. Number 3, don't take a pay raise without, especially in the small team. don't take a pay raise without making sure negotiating a pay raise for your entire team. Now, because you guys become a family, and this also applies to our politicians. People in Congress or the Senate and lawmakers, you guys pushing your pay up with the ordinary citizens' pay being raised. And I learned this in my interaction with my people. When I was offered a pay raise, or at least I was given a green light, like, yeah, you could go ahead and get a pay raise. I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna ask for this, because the truth here is, if my team not gonna get a pay raise, who am I to start making a lot of money, and then the discrepancy becomes so high? It's like, it doesn't look good. And like, only the boss is enjoying himself while everybody else. And another thing here, when it comes to pay, you have to make sure that even when you guys are going out, like I used to travel into like remote part of the country, and when we are going out, make sure that everybody get the same amount of per diem, like meaning the money that you receive per day when you are out in the field. Even me, like although like people come to me, oh, you're the boss, you always have to spend more than necessary. But I make sure that we all get the same amount. So my driver and I, we know, okay, you have the same amount that I have. So there's no reason you should be asking you for money. If anything, you should be saying sorry for me, because I'm not gonna go sleep in your friend's house. I go sleep in the hotel or guest house, and I have to spend more money. So what happens is that people start respecting you. It's like, okay, this guy is really not about the money. He'll make sure that we are all eating. We are all like on the same level. And they know like you have more expense, because now you're the boss. Anywhere you go, people are looking up to you. You have to spend out of the little money that you all have together, right? So it's amazing. And and when they also see you advocating for them to raise their pay, so your pay could get raised, they trust you more. They work for you. They tend to put their life on the line in that situation to make sure that they are doing what you are asking them to do, right? That's number 3. Number 4, number 4 is classic. This, you have to just have an open door policy. Leadership lesson number 4 is really something that, I don't see a lot of people doing it, especially in our contest in Liberia. When I went there, when I was working, I would see a lot of people like working behind the door. Like, although like their office doors are open, but it's like too many gossip, like secrecy and there, oh, this, that, because you breed that concept of, oh, this person is trying to undermine me. He or she, because a lot of people have insecurities, of course. Now, if you don't have an open door policy to make sure that, those insecurities, although you cannot really address everybody's insecurity, but those who you think need to understand what's going on, you are open and you welcome out their criticism in, you appreciate them, you be forefront, like honest with them. And your employees also, or people who are working underneath you, on this position level, you make sure that they could come to you and tell you anything they want to, even if some things are annoying or they could get on your personal nerve, but you allow them to express themselves. That kind of open door policy, when you have that, it took me a little long to like learn that, but when you open yourself up for that, you make yourself vulnerable by allowing criticism to come in, by allowing people to come and talk to you directly, one-on-one. And you start seeing improvement in your relationship that you're building with these people. Also, one thing that people, like, I guess it's a trick that I used to use, but it's not really a trick. It's just keeping my office door open. So anyone in the office, I'm there, and the office is open, you could literally just walk in knowing that there's nothing else happening, except if there's like top security meeting that I'm in, and it really needs to be quiet and it needs to be secure, then we close the door. But that usually is between me and the top executives, and we are all sitting there having those meetings. So these are some of like 4 good leadership tricks that I've learned in Africa, in Liberia particularly. I'm gonna keep telling you some of my stories, what we used to do and how things used to be like when I used to work. But again, I was managing about $6 million budget. So it wasn't a little project. Other than that, we managed to do a lot of good things with it. And I would like to share my experience with you one of these days, more in depth. Some of the interesting story, some of the things that I learned, and what you can do. If you ever had the opportunity to work in Africa, especially in countries like Liberia, underdeveloped countries, there are a lot of things that you could learn working with our people. But my experience was really a good experience overall. It was challenging, of course. I could talk about some of the challenges here in later time, but also it was a growing experience, and it took me some time to start sitting down and thinking about some of the lessons that I've learned without really, in the moment I was just like, just doing things. But reflecting about it now, I'm really humbled that I was able to learn some of these lessons. And now I'm seeing that I've become a better person, a better communicator, because of the leadership opportunity that was given. And I took it and I seized it and I ran with it. So guys, if you are into those kind of things, welcome to my channel. I'm gonna make sure we keep giving you some juice. Some good stuff out here, man. Again, please share, like, let's make this a big family. Thank you so much for your support. See you later. Peace.